Hi guys. I don't know what was in the air when I was trying to film this video. It must have been the wind. I literally could not get a single word out. I had to restart how many sentences in this video. So please bear with me. Please bear with me. I feel like you will still get the gist of what I'm saying. So please, I haven't had to do a disclaimer before a video in a very long time. But I just want you to say, please just lock in for 30 seconds. You will understand where I'm going with it. It does get better. It's a slow burn video. But I hope you enjoy. Nonetheless, I didn't know it did that. I hope you enjoy. Are you going to do emojis again for me? I don't know. I hope you enjoy nonetheless. Yeah. See you in a bit. See you in 2 seconds. Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. You haven't seen me in a minute in a headscarf, so this feels very 9 months ago when I first started making YouTube videos. I hope you guys are all well. Today's video is actually about one of my favorite quotes in the world, and the quote is, "Wherever you go, there you are." I actually heard this quote in a different format. It was long-winded and it was kind of difficult to get to the point. But then when I was working at my last job, I heard a girl, I think her name was Corinna, and she actually said it in that way where she's like, "Wherever you go, there you are." And I was like, I like that a lot. And I remember saying, I think in my New York vlog, I may have mentioned this quote, but I remember coming back from New York and then I heard her say that and I was like, wow, that really connects with me. But I've been seeing so much on social media about people traveling in their 20s, how now is the best time to travel and travel while you're young because you don't want to be trying to hike or go to see all these places when you're old and your body's not as energized to do so. And I do agree with traveling in your 20s. I'm not even 20 yet, but I'm already trying to travel and get out and see the world. I really like the quote, "Wherever you go, there you are," because it means you have to force yourself to get out and to have experiences and be in environments where they trigger something within yourself. And I look at it as, I live in a very diverse city, and constantly every day when I go and use the tube to get to work, when I'm exploring London, I'm always coming across people that I think if I wasn't on this train or if I wasn't in this place at this exact moment, we never would have crossed paths, or maybe not have crossed paths for years or for a long time or ever. However, I think that I have had experiences in London that probably replicated things I did in New York or maybe when I traveled to Spain. And I don't know if I've spoken about this before, but I look at it as, we think that traveling means that we'll find ourselves. And I love the quote as well that everything is a win when the goal is to experience. And I think I look at my last relationship, I look at friendships I've had, I look at jobs I've been in, I look at places I've been where I haven't been the most happy, but I take those experiences and I don't internalize it, but I reflect deeply on them so that I can grow. And I see everything as an experience. I see my life in chapters, and this is supposed to happen to trigger this and so that this can happen, and it's all building blocks. And I think I've been looking at my life recently, and especially working in music, you can tell these people are very passionate about the things that they do, the people I work with, but also the songwriters as well. And I feel like I've always been hard on myself because I've always been like, what's my niche? I don't really sing, I don't really dance, I don't really act, I don't really do anything. As creative as I am, I'm not really someone that does fine art as much or things like that. I'm like, what's my niche? And then I have to realize that every other week I sit in front of a camera and I speak and I try and articulate myself as best as I can to convey how I feel and what I'm thinking. And this, I've been stringing together words, but in the first 2 minutes of this video, I've probably cut it all out now. But I was stumbling over my words and I find that incredibly jarring. I've also started writing a book, which feels really random, but it's just the best way for me to literally put pen to paper, or I'm typing it on my laptop, but to put onto paper how I feel and, stories that I have in my mind that I think are on replay. But coming back to the quote that I started this video with, wherever you go, there you are. I think we also believe that traveling loads automatically makes us better people, and it doesn't. I think you could be the most ignorant person and see the whole world, but it's whether you decide to allow these parts of yourself to open up and to be open-minded. And I like to consider myself pretty open-minded, but traveling has definitely helped that. Like, I see how other people live, and instead of being put off by that, it makes me more curious and it makes me inquisitive. I ask loads of questions. Like, I think, what if I never come back here? What if I never have the opportunity to ask this person this question? And that's what I love about living in a city and being confident enough to ask people where they get their jacket from. I was actually going to start off the video wearing my new jacket, because I was like, I'm really excited to wear this jacket. And I only bought this jacket not only because I liked it, but because I had asked someone randomly on the street, like, oh, where did you get your jacket? And then he was like, oh, I got it from here. Another thing is that you can't run away from yourself. You literally can't. I think you could be in a city you felt called to your whole life. Like, I think I felt really called to New York City my whole life, and the 10 days went by so quickly. But every day I soaked it up and I tried not to be on my phone too much. Even as much as I wanted to make a vlog, like, it's like 3-second clips, and then I put my phone away and I just tried to be there and be present. And I've spoken about being present so many times on this channel, but I think the fact that I keep coming back to it is also just another thing that I think is incredibly important, to be present. So I think even so, when I'm on public transport, I try not to be on my phone as much. I try and read a book instead, or look out the window and not even play music. Like, literally just have my earbuds in and look out the window and think about life and think about where I am. And, you know, I think even though, like, my travel into work is like an hour and a half, that's light work, because every job I've been to, or every job I've had apart from my first job, has been like an hour and a half to get into. So I'm kind of used to it now. But like, I think, God, I'm so tired in the morning, but I'm so tired, but I'm grateful that I get to go to work every day, and it's a job that I love. And I don't think I've ever had a job that I've like loved. But don't die for jobs, guys. I think as well, I've always been someone that puts themselves first. And I know that sounds really, really selfish, but I think it's the one thing I allow myself to be selfish about, is that in life, we will have experiences and we will be with people. And I think to love someone is to inconvenience yourself. I say it like this. Sometimes my mum's like, Naya, can you help me put away the dishes? Girl, no. Immediately no. But I'm just like, do you know what? It will make it easier for her to get onto her next task. So out of love, I help her put away the dishes, I guess. And life is about inconvenience sometimes. Sometimes I don't want to see friends. Sometimes I'm feeling antisocial. Sometimes I do cancel late, but I do find that it's important to make up for it. And, you know, every time I've been to a new place, every time I've had a new friend, I always think that I just become a more refined version of myself. I am constantly thinking about growth, which isn't necessarily always a good thing, because, like I said, to be present. But I think I just have a very growth centered mindset, and I love that. I think that quote is also about acceptance and not judging yourself. I can be very critical about myself. I have very high standards for myself, and I think I also have very high standards for other people, which of course isn't great, but it's the truth. Because I hold myself to such a high standard, I also expect that of others. But I think expectations mean disappointment. I think towards the end of my last relationship, I started removing expectations because I felt like they were never being met, which is such an internal thing. And then when I removed those expectations, I realized that I wasn't feeling as disappointed, or I wasn't feeling as, you know, guilt-ridden, and I was feeling less anxious. And I think it's kind of like saying, I don't care anymore. Not that you shouldn't care about being like, not that you shouldn't care, but I think I just don't put people on a pedestal, because I also know that this quote doesn't just apply to me, it applies to everyone. And I think I'm really accepting that sometimes people aren't a version of themselves that they want to be, and they are also trying to grow and learn and experience. And I think life is about the experience. And my ex could have seen me as an experience, and that's completely fine, because that's what life's about. But I think it's also like holding on to really important memories and maybe the love that you had for someone. I actually realized this 2 days ago, that I have never been afraid to tell someone that I love them. I think I love love. I love saying I love you, and I never felt strange about saying I love you to my friends, to my family, to my boyfriend at the time, because to say I love you is vulnerable. And I saw this video actually on Instagram Reels, where this woman was speaking about how she had an older friend, a woman like in her 60s, and I think she had cancer and she passed away, and they were friends for like 5 years, and the girl was like pretty young, probably like in her 20s. But she said that her only regret was that she never told the woman that she loved her. And then I watched that video and I thought, well, you were friends for 5 years. She called you up to tell you that she's in hospital. You spent very valuable, loving moments together. And I think love goes beyond words. What love can feel so real that it's tangible. And I think the fact that you don't always say I love you doesn't mean that you don't love someone. And that's one thing that I learned from my last relationship, was that just because he wasn't saying I love you all the time, even though I was, didn't mean that he didn't love me. And this isn't me in denial being like he didn't care about me, but it's that sometimes actions do speak louder than words. And I knew there were things that he did for me that made me aware that he loved me. And I know like there are things my family does for me that I know that they love me, and it's beyond the I love yous. Like I love you is just one way to express that love. I constantly remind myself that my body is finite, but my soul is eternal. And I am not my thoughts. I am not my hair or how I dress. I am. That is literally it. I am awareness. I am presence. And I think the soul is meant to experience, the soul is meant to have moments with people, even off chance ones. And I think I mentioned this in a previous video as well, about having like weak connections. So that's going into a coffee shop every day, or, maybe going into work, but not always like going out for a drink after. It's about having loose, I think it was loose connections that I used, but having loose connections kind of, I think globally would be a bit of a stretch, but having loose connections around your city and your town and your area, and just building that community. I'm actually going away for my birthday on a solo trip, which I'm really excited for. But at the same time, there's this nervousness because I've never traveled by myself, and I'll be in a whole new city. And it's this weird, like, excited nervousness that I have. And the one thing I'm looking forward to is literally just being somewhere by myself, to be fully there with myself. Every time I go on holiday, I go with someone. I go with family, or I've gone with a friend, and that's always been amazing. But going by myself means that I am so self-reliant. The quote is also about doing shadow work. I tend to try and look very deeply within myself to see what parts of myself I don't like, and not necessarily to change it, but to accept it. There are parts of myself where I can be really selfish and I can be stubborn. And I think there are times in life where you have to be a little bit audacious, you have to be selfish, you have to think of yourself first, and you can't put other people above your own needs. But I think it's because I judge others for sometimes choosing themselves over choosing me. And I think it's a very human thought. To shape a life of softness and love and joy, you have to look at what you're burdened in life with. You can't run from your problems. You could be in Malaysia or Australia or France. You could be anywhere in the world. You could be in space. You could be in the ocean. But you will always be with you. And I think, even referring back to my video of virality does not equal stability, like, people feel like now they have to play up to this one thing, and that's not being you. This quote goes deeper than just self, but also building an external life that you love, and every day when you wake up you are excited to live your life, than just being like content in a very capitalistic world, if I'm honest. It's not overnight that we suddenly live a life that we love, but it's the mindset behind it. It's like not seeing work as so tiring, but being like, wow, I get to work and I get to do these things that I love and I get to work towards goals. I think that's everything for today. I feel like I don't think I was able to really say what I need to say. This video didn't go as planned, but I hope you still enjoyed. I think that's everything for this week's video. I feel like I did not articulate myself best this week, but I think you know what I mean. If you get it, you get it. If you don't, you don't. But I'll see you guys very soon.